So if it wasn't obvious already, I haven't uploaded any videos to this channel in a long time. That's mostly due to the fact that due to the current world situation, we can't leave our house. And if no one can leave their houses, then there's no car events. Also, car events are large gatherings of people, which again aren't allowed. So without car shows, car meets, there's no content for me to film and then upload for everyone's entertainment. What I've been doing with that time is taking photos in the virtual world in games like Forza, editing them in Adobe Lightroom, and uploading them to my photography Instagram, which I'll link in the description below to make it easy to get to, but just in case you want, it's lowercase l, lc_virtual media. So let's get right into the actual editing process. Go ahead and open up Lightroom. Once you've gotten here, just import the photo you want to edit. So crop you can mess with a little bit. I think I'm going to trim it just a tiny bit. That basically just changes what your photo encompasses. I like it around there. So the first thing you want to do is typically the largest effect that you can have. Dehazing, clarity, and texture. So when you dehaze, you're taking out that white filler throughout the entire frame. You can see if you go in the negatives, then it enhances it. So you want to stay in the positives around the high 20s to 30s. I think around here is perfectly fine. You can already see the photo looks so much better. Clarity is going to sharpen up some of those lines and contrasting colors. It helps bring out some colors and color differentiations that the game just can't get quite right. I think it looks good in the 20s here. Usually you don't want to go over 50. You can already see in this line between the side and the rear of the car how the contrast looks so much more realistic. And last big effect is texture. You really don't need to change this a whole lot unless you're doing a close-up shot. I leave it around 6 in my far out sort of wide shots like this. Vignette really is up to you. I am going to do it just a little bit in this case just to put some extra emphasis and guide your eye to the car. I think I'm going to bring my clarity down just a tad because those edges are starting to look a little aliased. But I can also fix that with my sharpening. So I sharpen usually nowhere above 30, just around here. Now for your radius settings, go ahead and move your radius slider and click and hold on the photo itself. This will bring you to the black and white interpretation of the photo. Basically mess with this slider until there's less of a halo effect to the lines, which in this case it's gonna be kind of tricky, but I think around here is going to look the best. Detail I usually don't mess with very much. I'm gonna leave it as is for now. And your masking, again, move the slider, hold on the photo, and that shows you what exactly is being sharpened in the photo. Usually I like to have it up, that way you're sharpening more selectively rather than the photo as a whole. I think it just kind of makes everything contrast a lot better. Now if I tap and hold to do my before and after, you can see just how much better this looks already. I haven't even touched too much yet. Noise reduction, up to you. I usually touch it just a little bit. Very small amounts. Color noise reduction, I'm gonna do it some just in hopes of getting rid of some of these clouds around the gas cap. I usually leave it around 13 to the 20 range. Detail, again, is up to you. I'm gonna turn it up just a little bit so the clouds are still there, they're just a little less noticeable. My smoothness is usually quite high. That way it just looks more natural. So it didn't really make a large difference, but really it's things like that that you don't particularly notice, but just as a whole make the photo look better. So that's enough for the detail menu. Next up is color. Usually I bring my vibrance up to around 10 just to bring out some colors the game might not get. To counteract this, you can bring your saturation down just a little bit, but I'm going to leave it at around 0. You can click this circle tool in the top right. That will bring you preset colors and an eyedropper tool which allows you to change the hue of colors in the photo. So usually I mess with my reds the most. For this one, I'm going to bring lumens down, saturation up, just to make those tail lights look a little more realistic, which again, really not a big difference, but as a whole, it's a large change. The orange I'm going to leave the same because I think the car looks perfectly fine as it is. Now it's the blue and the indigo that really make the difference. So the light blue really never really does much. I'm going to bring saturation down just a tad. That's really all. It's the indigos, because that will change a majority of your sky color, as well as the reflection in the windows, which you really don't think about, but makes a huge difference. So there's two different looks you can go for here. You can make the windows look very, very dark, or you can make the windows look clean. So a dark look is going to be something along these lines. Clean look is going to be around here. It's all about luminance, and you can use saturation a little bit just to kind of tweak to a finer point. Again, not a huge difference. It looks a little bit darker after I've messed with it. I think it looks quite good like that. As far as color goes, that's going to be all that I mess with for this photo in particular. Optics, typically remove the chromatic aberration and enable lens corrections. That just fixes any small problems that maybe you don't particularly notice. Computer's usually pretty good at finding those things. Next up is light. So exposure is how much light the camera shutter would have taken in before it closed. I'm going to bring it up a bit just to kind of bring some livelihood in. I usually mess with my contrast. Well, really I mess with all of my light sliders every time. So contrast I'm going to bring up. Again, I really like that change yet subtlety in color. So that's my personal preference. It can change depending on the person. Highlights, again, tap and hold on the photo, and that is going to highlight, well, your highlights. So bring it up. Highlights are more defined. Bring them down, they're less. Really, it depends on the photo. For this one, I'm going to bring them down just a tad. Shadows are going to highlight where your shadows are. You bring it in the positives, it tends to lighten your shadows. You bring in the negatives, it darkens your shadows. Usually I don't mess with it a lot, but just doing the example with the slider, I kind of like it around here. Again, this is all personal preference. Just showing you my personal experience and what I like to do. Your final settings are going to be whites and blacks. Bring your whites up, it makes whites way more luminant, makes them jump out much more. You bring them down, it kind of darkens the tone a little bit. I liked it a little bit in the middle right here. I think it looks good. Bring some light into the photo that wasn't originally there after dehazing. Blacks I usually don't mess with a whole lot. This photo in particular, I think I like them a bit lower, just like this. Now I'm going to go into full screen so you can see the photo before and after. This is before I touched it, totally raw. Screenshot from the game, and then after my edits. It already looks so much more realistic. This is going to be going up on my Instagram. Go check it out. Again, it's in the description below. I'll put it up on the screen right here. I hope to get some more content sort of like this. Just expect a lot of random videos, sim racing videos, everything, because I'm desperate for content since I can't go out and get any right now. Thanks for watching. I hope your photos can come out looking as good as this, and good luck.